I forgot to double check what episode this was going to be because we've been doing this for a long, long time, over 5 years. And this one's going to be a special one. Whether this is your first time listening to me, maybe you've been there the whole ride, but this is episode 250. We got a fun guest for you. He's got a new album out. He's from Philly. We'll get into that. We'll see if we get along or not, and I'll get into that as well. I'm your host, Jonathan Green. This is Bar Conversations. We got singer, guitarist, and a guy that just stays busy, I think. His new album, Rafter, is out now, which you need to give a listen to. Let's welcome in Chris Rafter.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Thanks again for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I looked at my notes and I was like, I didn't change a few things, and I was like, I'm glad I looked at the other parts of the notes, because your album is out. You dropped it in September, I believe, right?
Yeah. September 12th, I think, few weeks ago.
So it is out,
Yeah.
folks. You need to give it a listen, and I appreciate Chris being on for episode 250. It's a big moment for us. So I'm going to celebrate with a drink. I know we'll get into you're behaving yourself these days. I got a little George Remus, since he liked to do
Okay.
some fun things in life, but I know you're not doing that as much these days. You're behaving yourself, Chris. So what's your go-to drink these days? What's your guilty pleasure?
Dude, I'm pretty boring, man. Water and coffee. Tonight I was like, we'll get it a little bit exciting for the occasion. We'll do a little sparkling water. Um,
I like it. Is it
yeah,
flavored?
it is flavored. Yeah, what flavor? It's black cherry vanilla. So
Okay,
we're
so
getting we're
that's
getting
got
a
a
little
lot
bit
going
crazy.
on.
Yeah. You caught me in a calm period of my life. This is a calm period. So I'm a sparkling water guy right now.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Now you mentioned coffee. I always like to joke. There's many bars out there. There could be the coffee bar, the bourbon bar, the beer bar, whatever. So, how deep into coffee are you these days, or is it just black coffee and you're good to go?
Yeah, I don't get to. I drink a tremendous amount. I mean, I'm the type of dude, as I'm sure a lot of musicians are. Like when I'm doing something, I do a lot of it. You know what I mean? So something gonna happen. Ironically, right when I put down the sauce for a little bit, my coffee intake picked up a lot, and I'm not real. I don't really give a shit, man. Whatever they got, I'll drink it. But yeah, to be honest, I don't even know what I have upstairs. I,
Now, when you
I
say
didn't
you
buy
go
it.
all in, are you eventually going to go all in and get like uh, the bean, that can blending it all up and all that, or are you just going to keep it
No,
simple?
I just mean like a tremendous amount.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I drink like 5 cups of coffee a day now. I didn't used to be like that, but now it's a lot of caffeine, and it just kind of keeps me going. Now, I mean, like I'll get into certain stuff on a hobbyist level. Like I have my little bourbon era, and probably bourbon whiskey. I liked more Scotch whiskey and cigars. I had a crazy cigar era at one point when I quit smoking cigarettes. I got into cigars, and that was one that was like really fun to like get into and try all the different kind, learn where the different leaves come from the different countries. With coffee, it feels I don't really see myself as a dude who gives too much of a fuck about coffee beans, man. I'm not really that type of brother,
You're
to
just
be
going to
honest.
enjoy what it gives you, the caffeine,
Yeah,
and the stronger the better.
yeah. I think there's like a different connotation that comes with somebody who cares way too much about the bean of coffee. That's not really the type of guy I am.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now,
Yeah,
I mentioned you're from Philly. How big of a sports fan are you? I mean, you got a few teams out that way.
yeah. As a disappointment to most of the men in my family, not much, not much. I know, I did. I wish I cared more. All my brother, my grandpa, everybody, massive, obviously, Birds fans and Phillies fans. Um, I, you know, I keep up with it, dude. It doesn't make or break my week. I honestly, I'm not even gonna lie and say I keep up with it. I barely do. Depending on how busy I am this season, not fucking at all. Am I allowed to curse on here, by the way? I'm
Yes.
sorry. I don't want
I
to
mean,
give
we
you a
drink, so
crazy
we
editing job.
absolutely.
All right. All right. Yeah. I figured that's why you said it. We might get along, we might not. I'm like, okay, I didn't ask where you're from yet, so I figured that might be the. You
Yeah,
Texas
well,
guy
so
or?
no, so I am actually from the other side of the state. I'm from the Pittsburgh area, so
Oh,
I
very
think
cool.
I think we'll get along. I think we'll get along just fine.
Oh, wonderful. My stepdad's from Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh, like Butler area.
Okay. Yep. Yep. I'm from closer to the airport and the amphitheater Star Lake, so that's where I spent many. Well, I won't say many, but at least an occasional summer night.
Ah, very cool. All right, nice man.
Yeah. Now, so
Yeah, you got
you're not big into sports. You're not big into coffee. So what hobby quirk or side project do you got going on in your life that your fans may not know about?
Um, I mean, besides me, like the last 3 years of my life, man, have been pretty consumed with starting this like independent, kind of. I call it a label. It's just me. I'm the only person signed to the label, but trying to like figure out basically how to do this as an independent artist, and yeah, it's been pretty consuming. I mean, it's to be honest, that's kind of been like music was a hobby that turned into like a full time job and kind of took over. I went on another podcast like a month ago, and I must have been on one that must have been like a 6 cup of coffee day because I've been seeing the clips like this week, and I'm like, oh, I'm like cringing. So I was just like going in on fucking how much time I spent on this and really just yapping it up. But yeah, to be honest, dude, that's really kind of been everything the last few years. More recently, I started actually working on my real estate license like the past year. Or not past year, I'm sorry, past month. Just because, as some musicians watching this may know, you don't make a lot until you do. So, just as something to be able to fuck around with on the side. And, I'm relatively business minded and, I figured I can be I'm not a good waiter or bartender. Some guys are good at doing that while they're kind of making their way in music. I'm not really good at serving. So, yeah,
But you're good at music, so that's something.
yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully that gets broadened the amount of people that think that, and then I can do that 100% full time at some point.
I was gonna say it's not an easy gig when you're on the climb up. When like you said, you went full in here in the last couple of years. You were able to put out your first studio album, Rafter, and we'll get into
Yeah.
that here in a minute. When did you decide that you wanted to make music your career, and what was there a defining point that like 3 years ago, or was it even before then where you're like, no, I think it's time to actually give it a full shot?
Yeah, so there was like a few times too, because I've been, writing songs for a while since I was like 13. The main thing that I was too afraid to like put anything out or to perform live, right? So like I'm 29 now, I'll be 30 next month. So I didn't start doing this full time until 3 years ago, so it was fucking, 2026. Um, and yeah, I mean, the turning point is I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where I was like writing, I would like record stuff and not put it out. I would, start kind of trying to get shit going, but not go in all the way. And then, yeah, about 3 years ago, I think I kind of realized like now's the time, man. Like I don't want another like 5, 6 years to go by and be like, I have this music dream that just like wouldn't leave my brain. Anything else I was doing, that was just always right there. And like I told you, kind of with everything I do, I'm like, I'm really not good at compartmentalizing stuff. Like I really like even kind of this shift towards like starting to try to like do a little something else with the real estate. This is a real, new thing for me, right? Because anything I do, I pretty much am like, I'll throw my whole fucking life. I mean, dude, I burn my life savings doing this shit. Like you know, uh, I came into it with a few bucks saved up from doing all right in my early 20s. Um, that was like, if I'm going to do this, man, I'm giving it 100%. So I didn't do anything else for the last 3 years, man. It's just been fucking music, just music, building this up, and yeah. So that to answer your question, yeah, about 3 years ago, had a little situation with a company I had at that point, kind of went down, and it was just like, you know what, fuck it, man. I think this is God telling me, like, here's the shot, man. You got nothing else going on. Start company, or you can be a musician full time, man. Give it a, honest shot, break through some of those fears.
I was gonna say, I mean, you don't want to always have the what if thought in your head, and being able to see that the album release had to be pretty cool. Now, did you grow up though in a musical family, or were you kind of the I know you got some sports fans, but like I mean, was music around a lot growing up?
Yeah, my mom. So I mean, I would say, yeah, everybody, there's from different parts of my family, absolutely. But my mom listens to real good music, eclectic taste and really, really good taste. So a lot of the stuff that I started getting into pretty early was from her. And then in terms of like being a musician, my grandfather through the 60s, mid to late 60s, was in a band. He used to play down in Wildwood 6 nights a week, at a club in Wildwood, so he did like the old fashioned grind. It's kind of funny, man, because like we're pussies now, dude. I'll do like 3, 4 shows in a row and be like, oh, my voice is fried. I'm exhausted. I'm like a little princess. This guy was going 6 nights a week, fucking all year, man. So,
In a nice smoky bar, right?
at a smoky bar, exactly, man. And then on top of that, he was going to school and working. So he's doing all that. And they were playing like 6 hour sets, like just a different, well, that was before DJs and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like that was the music playing at the club, is the live band. Um, so
But
yeah,
hey, you're doing it now. You're doing it now. Now you mentioned your mom had an eclectic taste, and that's kind of where you got your love
yeah.
of music. So what did you grow up on? What do you still have an impact on you to this day?
I would say probably like the biggest stuff. And it's funny because some stuff that I, uh, you know, grabbed onto, like when I first started making music, grunge was like my biggest inspiration, right? Like when grunge hit me, I was 13 and this was 2009. That was my like 1994, right? Because I wasn't born yet, or 1992, because I wasn't born yet. So, um, I found Nirvana, and my mom was a big fan of Pearl Jam, and she likes Pearl Jam's probably her favorite of of those groups. Um, but when I first started writing, it was very like Nirvana esque, and I think because the songs are easier to play as a beginner guitar player, like just plug in, play some distortion, play power chords. Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and stuff. Like I still can't really play that shit. So I got dudes in my band, really good guitar players. They take a lot of the we're trying to get that direction. But yeah, but my mom likes a lot of singer-songwriters too. And in the '90s there was a lot of really really great singer-songwriters. Like Jonathan Brooke, somebody that's I really don't think ever kind of got the shine that she deserved, but phenomenal songwriter, phenomenal acoustic guitar player. And now as I'm getting a little bit older, it was stuff that I always played in the car as a kid. I thought it was maybe a little bit boring, but it kind of sunk in somewhere, because now that's really the stuff that kind of influences my writing.
Well, and you grew up in Philly in the Philly area, and folks may not realize that there's a lot of good music that has come out of there. What impact did that have on you? Because I'm guessing you got to a lot of different things kind of came through. It wasn't like you didn't have an opportunity to go to a club and hear anything or go to a show.
Yeah, and to be clear, just because the Philly people lose their fucking minds over this, I grew up in Westchester. I grew up outside the city.
I
I'll get
understand
like,
it. When I say
uh,
I'm from Pittsburgh, I'm really not from it. And when I meet someone from there, they go, "That's not Pittsburgh." I go, I know. I'm sorry, but you can't find it on the map."
well, exactly, and that's kind of what I tell people. It's like I'm trying to give people a reference point, But yeah, so I grew up outside of the city, and yeah, I'm sorry. What was
what
the
impact did
question?
that have on you growing up in the Philly area? I should say.
I mean, and honestly, like I guess on the writing, it's kind of like uh, you know, I don't know. I think it kind of like leaked. It's funny. Like when I put out Havertown, my mom's from Havertown. A lot of my family's from Havertown. I lived there for a few years, actually. My 20s. I moved out there, and I love it there. I wrote a song while I lived in a house there, and I mentioned Havertown, so I called it that. And was just kind of writing about the shit that like we were doing. When that came out, it really that's kind of when I started developing a local audience. And I think the references to just kind of like the East Coast, like Philly area shit that I threw in there, kind of like I really wasn't trying to do like a shout out. Like I really wasn't trying to do like a corny, like, I don't really know how to put it because I also don't want to like roast anybody, but like, I'll see like certain artists like really like lean into something like that. You know what I mean? Where like everything they do, like gotta have a Phillies jersey on, have like wah wah behind them, and like I'm the Philly thing. Like that really wasn't what I was trying to do. But when I realized that that was the audience I was getting, then from like marketing and shit, like obviously I kind of leaned into oh, Pennsylvania folk, Philly folk. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean I try to just kind of write like what I know, and I don't always do the best job of it, but I try to write in the way that like I talk and not just do some like kind of contrived like songwriting shit. So that, I don't know if I always do the best job of it, but yeah, I guess it's gonna naturally creep through because what I know is this area is where I live most of my life.
Well, and speaking of the song, I mean, that was kind of what really, like you said, was your at least breakout song where a lot of people got introduced to you. I mean, what's the story behind that song, and how did it come together? Why was it just something like you said? You're living down there, and next thing you know, that's just kind of the words that come together.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and it really was kind of a nothing song when I wrote it. To be honest, I wrote it on acoustic. I kind of like that little acoustic riff I did. Um, I moved out to LA for a little bit shortly after making the decision to, do this full time. Was working with a producer out there, my buddy Anthony, and originally like he's more of a pop producer. So originally, like the verses of that song, it was going to be kind of more of like a pop production, and I was just like, dude, this isn't my thing. You know what I mean? I'm not a pop guy. I like some pop music for sure. Who doesn't? But it wasn't really my thing. So I came back here, and I didn't have a hook for it, so I wrote the hook and went to a studio, Milk Boy in the city. I hit up my boy Justin Miller, who was an engineer there at the time, and yeah, man, me and him put that song together. The production of it, and yeah, so pretty cool how it ended up. Because before that, dude, I mean, I had like fucking 600 followers on Instagram and shit. Like, no, I'd post little like videos of me playing acoustic songs and stuff like that. Nobody give a fuck, dude. And then I put that out, and it did like, pretty decent, pretty quick. So that was super cool.
Well, and since then, like I said, you released your debut album, Rafter, back in September.
Yeah.
Did you one really record that in two row houses, and did one of them not have plumbing? What was going on with that?
Yeah, it's where I just came from. Yeah, on Ridge Avenue in East Falls. That's where I just came from. Yeah, so we decided we had done like, I recorded the first few songs in an actual studio at Milk Boy, and I recorded in other studios too. So like New Year's Eve and Land for Sale, they were actually recorded at Elm Street Studio in Conshohocken. But for the rest of the album, we were like, I wanted to spend time kind of like fucking around with shit and, in a studio, paying 100 plus an hour, you know what I mean? And me and Mark Mank, who's the bass player in my band and also my, co-producer on most of these tracks and just an overall fucking genius. Um, he has a ton of gear and he had all the setups. So we're like, let's just fucking record this here, man. So we did it between his house, which is a row, and then another one, which is the rehearsal space, which we dub Ridge because it's on Ridge Avenue. And that's basically a house that has electricity, but no plumbing. There's not a toilet there. The floors are fucking just, you could kind of fall through at any moment. Like, I mean, it looks like a fucking, uh, like a fucking bando. And but you go upstairs and he insulated one of the rooms, and that's where all the gear's set up and shit. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, you got to piss out the window, so it's not very female friendly, but we'll work on that. So we'll get a little money coming in, and maybe get a toilet put in that place.
I love it. I love it. There's always a story behind the music, one way or another, and When you put this one out, I know I read where you said you're in a different place than when you wrote and released Havertown. So what can folks expect kind of on Rafter? Because there was a gap between kind of when those were written, so to speak, and like you said, you're getting a little older and things change in life.
Yeah, yeah. So like some of those songs, man, I wrote when I was like 24. Like Midnight Queen. That's an older song. I wrote that in 2020, like during the pandemic. Same with Minute Too Late. I wrote that right around the same time. Um, and yeah, those songs were just kind of different areas or different points of my life over the last 5 years. So this album was just kind of getting some of my favorites of the songs I'd written over the last 5 years and the ones that kind of met the theme of, we could put a little bit of a country folk type of production to. And yeah, and we did it. So, when we were making the album, um, and when I was writing some of those songs, you might be able to tell from some of the lyrics in it. Like I was partying quite a bit. I like drinking, and that's kind of what we do. We did quite a bit of that through the recording of this, and through the writing of it. I did a lot of a lot of drinking over the last 5 years. So a lot of that's in this record. Where yeah, I mean I've written some songs for kind of the next projects to come, and it's like, look, man, I'm not really I don't really stay in one spot. You know what I mean? Even from one month to the next, I'm trying to just keep kind of growing on my journey, and the music's going to sound like that too. So with this album, it's kind of funny because like now I'm promoting it, or it's out, and I'm like looking at it, I'm like, ah, fuck, like I'm not even really that guy anymore. But
Hey, that
yeah,
is the industry at times. It takes a little while to get those things to come to life, and but I mean, for you, like you said, you go full into everything. You solo wrote the album. What was it like to do that, and two, why is that important to you to kind of have your voice on every song and literally kind of be the voice?
yeah. It's like for me, I guess one of my favorite songwriters of all time is Bruce Springsteen, and he's always been a solo writer throughout his career. You know, and I always appreciated the fact that he went that route and he wrote his truth 100% through and through, as opposed to chasing hits. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the other way either. Like at this point in my life, I'm way more open to co-writing. You know what I mean? And not necessarily just to chase hits, but it's like we can make a great song. If I can, make a great song with somebody else, why not? Um, but for at least like my first project, I wanted it to be 100% my words, 100% my truth. Not to sound cliche, but you know,
Hey, people can tell when you actually live the life of the song, or can it's truly yours, because I feel like that comes through. One of my favorite songs off the album is "Hometown Boys." How did that song come to be, and what was it like recording it?
yeah. Thank you, man. I wrote that originally. That was one I kind of had the verses to. I had a cool little like rhythm to it. With how I played it on the acoustic guitar, I liked the rhythm and I liked the verses, and I liked what I was writing about because that was, about a lot of the guys that I grew up with and went to high school with, and and myself to an extent, and just kind of where we're at now is being in our, you know, 20s, later 20s. Some guys in their 30s, and like high school's done. It's like the guys that stuck around. You know what I mean? A lot of people went all over the place, went to college, moved to different cities, or living different kinds of lives. And there's a lot of us that are still around here, and that was kind of an ode to that. Um, and I had the verses to it for a couple of years. I was sitting on them, and then a hook. I knew I liked the song, and a hook came to me. While maybe right before we started kind of making this album, maybe like a year ago. And I was like, oh, okay, I dig this. And I go like, I think we got it now. So then, yeah, me and, we produced it, and, you know, yeah, I think it's a cool track.
No, I love it, and you talk about putting yourself in the songs. I mean, what's it like to one, do that, kind of be vulnerable enough to maybe put something in there that, like you said, at 13, you weren't really ready to share everything with the world. Now you are, in a sense. What's it like to put those personal and life experiences in your songs?
Yeah, I like it, dude, because it's like, I think like one of the bigger things with this, like, there's no way to be an artist, especially in like 2025, and not open yourself up to a level of like you're gonna do some like embarrassing shit, or you're gonna do stuff that you're gonna get roasted for or whatever. Especially like the internet, like I get roasted all the fucking time, dude. And like I'm pretty open to it because like I know what I signed up for. You know what I mean? It's part of the game, and I do shit. I cringe at myself more than other people could possibly cringe at me. Like I'll watch clips from this podcast when it comes out and be like, God, why was that my fucking energy? Like, like sometimes like,
It's that sparkling water. It's that
it's
sparkling
that
water, I
spark.
take
Yeah,
it.
I'm blaming it on the sparkling water, dude. I'm really ripping this quick. It's got me moving funny. But yeah, so I mean, with writing, honestly though, that for whatever reason, I've never had that kind of like cringe feeling about. You know what I mean? I think that's like one of the areas I think I can find like a little bit of solace in, where it's like even if I didn't write a hit, I can usually um, stand by the writing of anything. And again, because it's like my words, and it's I had some time to think it through. It's not like I'm like freestyling these things and putting them out and then being like, oh, what the fuck would, how did that come out of my mouth? That's why these are a little more nerve wracking because it's like I say it, it's on video and it's there. Not a whole lot of time to think it through. Um, but with the songs and kind of putting it, it's like, look, man, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to stand by. Um, and again, there are a lot of them. It's stories too. You know what I mean? So it's not like my fucking diary. Everything definitely comes from life experience. But it's I'm writing songs. I'm taking elements of my own life. I'm taking elements of other people's lives or other things that that inspire me, that I see, that I'm around, and yeah, I feel comfortable in that in that mode. I can kind of take myself out of it a little bit with the writing and just kind of let it be for whoever's listening to it. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, and that's what music is. It's a way to tell a story, and people can see themselves in it. And I know for you, you've mentioned, you're drawn to avoiding repetition, whether that's music, your style. How do you kind of balance the consistency so people know, hey, this is Chris Rafter I'm listening to, but also being true to yourself and kind of continuing to experiment and evolve?
It's tough, man. To be completely honest with you, I think it's one of the toughest parts of doing this, and I think it's one of the areas that I have the hardest time, and like one of the areas that probably holds me back. Like I kind of realized recently, like my fan base from 2 years ago when I put Havertown out is different than it is today. And in some ways, like sometimes I'll look and I'll feel like, fuck, like I'm washed already. Like, I had like more hype 2 years ago, it feels like, than I do now, and I think it's because like the more I kind of expose myself on social media and in my shows, and I'm not like a country dude. You know what I mean? Like I like country music, and I like a lot of the sounds of country music and of alternative country more specifically. Um, and I wanted to, incorporate that because I dug it. I don't necessarily dress or act like a dude that has, fiddles and lap steel in their songs. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, I'm not a costume type of dude. Like, I'm just not. And I think there's a lot of artists that are good, especially when they have maybe some label help or even without it, that are good at having like their brand, and like that's what they're stick to. It's like they're whoever they are at home, but when they leave the house and they get on stage, they got this cowboy hat and this set of boots or this kind of outfit, or for a female maybe it's this kind of makeup or this. Where for me it's like wherever I'm at in life, bro, like that's what I'm bringing to the public. You know what I mean? My brand is just me, and that constantly changing, which like I said, I think might hold me back a little bit because part of the game of being an artist is like establish your brand, and then you can kind of rebrand as time goes on. But like I get bored, dude. I move quick. I like dressing different as time goes on. I like fucking different stuff inspires me, and I have a really hard time being confined into a a box that I feel like I need to fit in order to properly promote my brand, my image. It's a difficult thing, and I don't do great with it.
Hey, but the good news is it's 2025, and not everything fits perfectly in a box anymore. Especially when it comes to music, because you see so many artists. I've had them on the show, whether it's people that grew up loving, say hard rock, but boy, when they wrote it, it came out country, and they're like, well, I guess we're gonna have to figure out how to blend these two. You got guys like Lakeview from Pennsylvania that they might have a country song and then a hard rock song all together. So there's people out there that are doing a little bit of what you're doing, and I think there's a path
Sure.
for you there.
Yeah, I do too, man. I've always been a fan of like forging your own lane. Like all my favorite artists have forged their own lane. There wasn't already a thing for them. There wasn't like a niche laid out for them. They kind of created that, and then people followed in those footsteps. You know what I mean? They might have grabbed from a bunch of different influences and then kind of create their own thing. And that's kind of I'm an accumulation of just all of my different fucking influences from all these different genres, from all these different styles. I'm an accumulation of that. So that was kind of one of the things with this record, where there were songs that are written and I think are badass songs that didn't really fit with this record. So I'm like, all right, let me at least, me and Mark were kind of going through the songs and figuring out what should go. We're like, all right, maybe we'll save this one for another project where it makes a little bit more sense. You know what I mean? This one we're going to try to keep as much to that, alt country type of sound, I guess, as possible, just for some kind of consistency, at least with the album. So at least with an album, with a project, I can try to keep that.
I like it. I like it. It's
Yeah,
a tough task. I know you love being creative though, because even reading up about whether it's your music or even your merch, you want to be creative. I mean, why is that something you want to do even beyond music? Whether it's your merch or something else, maybe a social media video. Where does that creative bug come from?
I don't know, dude. It could just be like a fucking overly controlling thing, to be honest. Like I don't, I just need to be involved in everything, and like I don't see a time where that'll go away. Like I don't ever see a time where I'm just like, okay, these guys handle it. And I wish that I could be like that. Like I think it would probably create a lot less like stress and questioning fucking everything. If I could just be like, all right, this is a team of designers I'm hiring. They're going to make the merch. Show me before you put it out, but I trust you. You know what I mean? Or with production, like, yeah, I got a producer. Just listen to fucking whatever he says. I really like being hands on with everything, man. And I have ideas. And again, a lot of times they fucking flop. Like sometimes people, it's what I'm serving isn't necessarily what people want, and sometimes it is. So but again, at least I can come back and be like, well, it was me, for better or for worse. I gave you what I thought was cool. And then,
You're true to yourself. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, then you adjust, you know what I mean? It's like the merch I put out last time, not necessarily into the same styles. The next merch drop's going to look different because I'm into different shit now. And,
Hey, and the good news is people can keep. They won't get the same thing twice, is what it sounds like, and I love that.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely not, man. I wish I could be like on the same shit for 5 years, you know what I mean? Or fucking 1 year, but no, it's always going to change. It's almost a blessing I don't have millions of dollars at my disposal. I'd be fucking all. I'd have 5 albums out this past year.
Well, and obviously it's one thing to make the music, put it on an album, release it out to the world. It's another though to be able to perform live, and I think that's probably one of the things you love most is the live performance. What is it about bringing a song to life, being on stage that you just love?
Yeah, it's cool because I didn't perform live for the first time, dude, till I was 27. Like I was scared shitless of performing live, like terrified, man. So when I first started playing live, it was like the first like kind of consistent shows I was getting were these like grad parties, and this was like a couple years ago, I guess, and it was either me and my drummer Joe Fanica, and we would go rip these grad parties, and like these kids would just get fucking stoked. Like just the energy. I was like, oh my God, this is what like my favorite artists talk about when they talk about like not being able to stop touring, you know, no matter how old they are. It's like they just can't get off the road. Like I can understand just from my micro level of just the energy that was brought from that. And then, you know, as we started putting the band together, the band got bigger and, you know, the shows that we were playing got a little bit bigger and we got tighter. And now it's, you know, yeah, it's super fun because, excuse me, it's like even with these songs on the record, I'm bored. I don't listen. I haven't listened to the record since it came out. It's like I heard it a million fucking times when we made it. I don't want to listen to it anymore. So now it's like, how do we do it live? Because if the record's here, I want the live version to be fucking here. You know what I mean? And now with all the stuff that we've kind of learned, how do we make it more exciting? Um, and that's, you know, just such a fucking cool part of it. And like, dude, with like all the AI shit coming out, like it's a little scary as a musician. I think for any industry, it's a little bit scary,
Mm.
like the AI takeover, you know, and where our place is going to be, and where like the novelty of the human element is going to be necessary. And I think with like live music, you know, I don't know. For myself, I don't ever see a time where I'd want to pay money to go watch a bunch of AI robots perform a fucking concert. I want to see the imperfection and the perfection, but that humans can create from like working hard to like get there. You know what I mean? That grit. And you know, that's one of the things I think that's going to keep this long lasting, you know, and I don't just mean me, I mean just musicians that play live and are good at playing live, you know. So we just try to get as sharp as possible and, you know, keep bringing great shows.
No, I was gonna say there's something about a live show, and I'll ask one of my favorite questions here in a little bit. But you talked about the band. What was it like to kind of assemble the group, and you know, how what is everyone bringing? Because clearly everyone's got a little something different, and they all kind of bring something unique to the table. What was it like to actually be able to have a full band and bring them along?
Yeah, so dude, I got unbelievably blessed. Like the dudes I play with are fucking top tier talent. Like top tier talent. Like every one of those guys is a better instrumentalist by me or than me by infinity. So the way it came together was cool because like, you know, Havertown came out. Um, Joe, my drummer, hit me up on Instagram. I was, you know, supposed to go on tour with a big artist, and it fell through. And he was super bummed out because he was, you know, he's an unbelievable drummer and he was kind of waiting for his break. That fell through. One of his buddies showed him my music. He DM'd me right when I got back from LA. We started, you know, working together. He brought on a buddy of his, Sal Molinari from high school, started playing guitar with us. So now we're me on acoustic and vocals, Joe on drums, Sal on, uh, you know, lead guitar. Then about a year ago, we met Mark, and that was another one from Instagram. You know, I built a decent Instagram following, which, you know, I could just kind of throw up a post and be like, hey, looking for a bass player. Met Mark. Didn't know at the time that beyond just being a bass player, you know, he's a multi instrumentalist. He produces. He had all this gear. He had the rehearsal studio. So that's really when stuff came together. You know, we got all that. Um, and then Matt Vitale, another one, hit me up on Instagram, which was like, I like what you guys do. You're fucking sick. I told him to come in for a jam. And funny enough, the first night he ever jammed with us is we did Life Goes On that night. So like that whole like jam section, Life Goes On, which is the last song on the record. It's this like long kind of electric guitar, fucking epic, you know, element of it. And that was a one take first night Vitali ever played with us. I think Come in Pieces, I believe we also did that night, like the bass track of it, like the drums, some of the guitars and bass. And I think there was another one too. But yeah, he just came in to jam and see if it, you know, worked. And now that
And it
ended up,
worked.
yeah, yeah, it ended up on the record, you know, and we weren't even recording for the record at that point. That was just a recorded, you know, practice because Mark sets it up so we can record our practices. So it was pretty cool, man. It all came together super organically, and those guys are my best friends. So, you know, yeah, super, super blessed in that area. This is my only experience with the band. So I'll hear from other people how much of a pain in the fucking ass it is, like keeping a band together, and guys leaving and coming back, or guys quitting and then trying to replace them. And I've never, yeah, like I said, I've just been blessed not never having to experience that. Really, it's I get to play with my best friends, so it's fucking awesome.
No, I love that. And I love too that sometimes it just works out organically. And I know you've been able to play in a few different venues. In the short time that you've been doing live shows, you've been able to play some festivals. What's been a memorable moment for you on stage so far?
So, like the Barefoot Music Festival was cool. That was super cool, just because it was like, that's one of those things around here that's like the big country music festival, right? And like, we didn't get picked up on the original bill, obviously. A lot of big artists on there have been, doing it for a little bit, or have a hit or something like a hit. And closer to the festival, they did some like vote-in thing, for all the local, Jersey, Philly people, vote in your favorite artist. And I didn't really think much of it. Mark was actually the one that was really pushing. He's like, dude, fucking submit our name, and then, see if we get voted in. And yeah, we did. And it was cool, man, because we get there and it's this like tent, and there's like fucking like 30 people in there. And I'm like, fuck, dude, big tent, 30 people in here. And get through the first song, and people start kind of pouring in. And then by the last song, man, there's like fucking 400 or 500 tents fucking filled. People are going nuts. And it was a super, super cool thing. Just like those little proof of concept moments. It's like, okay, most of these people maybe have never fucking heard of us, you know what I mean? And they like what they're hearing enough to be coming. You can see them waving their friends in like that, So that was a super, super cool moment.
No,
And a lot of these
I
small
love that.
parties we did. Yeah, we dig doing small parties too, man. We played a lot of like college shit last year, and those ones are fun because it's just like the energy's great. It's more fun playing for people who are losing their fucking minds, jumping all over, and than a bunch of people just sitting down. So which our shows don't really. We don't have a whole lot of sitting down going on, but the college shows are like another level. They're losing their fucking minds. It's a good time.
So there's a little energy when you guys hit the stage.
Yeah. And we drew. That's what that's what we try to bring, man. We want it to be like a good time. And I do like acoustic shows, which I do. And I pick up a lot of opening slots where I'm just playing acoustic and stuff, and that's a different vibe. And I have people that really, really fucking love that too. But with the full band, there's an energy, and again, there's like a synchrony. Is that the word? We're locked in, man. Like we just kind of know what to do. Even when we're fucking up a little bit, or we go a few bars too far, and we'll kind of look at each other and fix it. We're pretty locked in for being a band that hasn't been playing together for years and years. So yeah, we just
Well,
got a really good connection that way.
I was gonna say that's a testament though to that friendship and that brotherhood of being able to kind of pick up on that. And obviously I know, like you said, you're still at the start of the journey. And so what are some places, festivals that you might still have on that bucket list, or written on that up on the bulletin board for some goals for you then?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like everybody's dreams, I think every musician's dream is to headline festivals. You know what I mean? So, in terms of exactly which ones, I don't know, because I think people would assume it's like the big country ones. Where for me, it's like in 5 years from now, I don't really know if people are going to reference me as a country artist. I don't know if they do. I think they do now. I think usually the playlist I get on them are country based for sure. Um, but yeah, I mean, we just, I'm a songwriter. When we get together, we make kind of full band music. So rock and roll, whatever you want to fucking call it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do. Touring to any extent is kind of the next thing. Getting out of like our East Coast corridor, like we've gone down to Virginia and done stuff in Virginia, North Carolina, and Maryland, and New York and Jersey, and all around the East Coast. But to have, like, I always see those artists that I keep an eye on that are not massive yet, but like they get that first kind of big tour where it's selling out before they even fucking hit the road, and they're getting bigger venues or adding additional dates and stuff, and um, that would be something that would be really really fucking exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it can happen. The music's been great to listen to, and you talk about the live show, and always start off with what's your drink tonight. I know you're enjoying that black cherry vanilla. Was it black cherry vanilla? Is that what it was?
Yeah, yeah, what is it? Yeah, it is black cherry vanilla.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was like maybe that's right. But I know you also talked about obviously it's one thing to have the songs on an album, but it's another to bring them to life on stage, and that's where you're at now. So this fits for this question. I love always asking this one toward the end.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song of yours to perform live right now?
Favorite song? Well, it's funny because for a while it was probably, I mean, early on it was like Havertown, obviously, because that was the one that like everybody knew the words, you know what I mean? So we play that last. Everybody knows the words. Everybody's gone fucking nuts. And like I still dig that song. But now it's kind of getting in the mode of like getting excited to play some of these new ones. So like Midnight Queen, we've never played as a full band before. But we just ran that in practice today. And I'm like super self-deprecating. Like if you ever, ask me like, oh, what songs you like from the album? Like, no, I don't fucking hate them all. Hate all. It's like sick of all of them. Never want to listen to them again. So I always joke with like Midnight Queen. We're like, oh, that's gonna be the one that people want to hear. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to hear that song ever again. That was like 5 years ago. But we started running practice and it was fucking fun, man. I'm like, that's what I'm really excited to start, throwing in the shows. Just high energy, but yeah, those are the most fun ones to play.
See, and that's what I love because it's funny talking to some guys that have had a lot of songs. They put out. They're like, damn it, that was the one they all want to hear. I don't like that one, but I'll keep playing it because that's what they want to hear. But I didn't like that one, or maybe there is a song that's a deep cut that they just man when it's live, it's just something else, and they can bring a new life to it. And then I can't wait to see what you're able to do because it sounds like you guys are gonna have some fun on that. And Rafter's out. You put your first album out. Obviously, that's a big accomplishment this year. So, what else can folks expect from you? There's a little bit of time left in 2025, but obviously, maybe on into 2026. What can folks expect from you?
Yeah, it's a good question, man, because I don't really even fucking know. I'm still working it out right now. That's kind of been something I've been thinking about a lot over the last month is, I don't like standing still for too long. And obviously there's some sort of a schedule that you should follow, just to be able to let some songs or projects breathe before you start putting out the next shit. And right now I'm kind of tossed up between putting out really a more acoustic based, like kind of folk album, or EP, or dropping some singles, or going all in and, doing a full production and, give it another shot. I think for the next one, we want to go a little bit bigger. So we do bring in a producer. I know I kind of want to alleviate myself of the producer side of it, bringing somebody who, this album is an experiment. You know what I mean? We've never produced an album before. So we did the best that we could. I think it came out cool for, a couple dudes who never produced a record before and did it in the state that we did it in with, really just what we had, available. Uh, but yeah, there's a good chance that there's going to be more songs by the end of the year, whether they're acoustic and I record them fucking, right here, or, whether it's with a producer in a studio, whether it's in fucking Philly, New York, Nashville, Austin. Um, yeah, I have no idea, but I don't stay still for too long, man. So there's not going to be a fucking year break before the next new music. By that point I'll be four different people. So I got to get this shit out quick. I still like it and can relate to it.
I was gonna say you'll go to herbal tea next, and then some I don't know kombucha. I don't know. You'll keep working your way through
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
right?
yeah. This last album was the Miller Life or the Miller High Life album. Next one, yeah, it might be the Kombucha album. I'm not going to say that. Fucking everyone's just stop listening to me. Everyone's going to fall off. No, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, it'll be cool, man. the eras. That's what we were just joking about in practice, like the fucking Taylor Swift like eras tour or whatever. You know how massive that was, for like, or 15 years of fucking different shit. Like we could do like a Rafter eras, but just like the past year, you know. And
And they'll get a fun ride. And Chris, man, you've been putting out some good music, folks. If you haven't, go give the album a listen. Go dive into what he's put out. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and I can't wait to see what you've got next. Hopefully, it's more music, more shows, and thanks for sharing a drink with me, man. Cheers.
hell yeah, cheers, brother. Thanks so much for having me on here, man. Really.